Ladies and gentlemen, I had a debate about 6 weeks ago, which I've moved on from, and everyone else has moved on from except for David Wood and the Christian apologetics, because we have other things and bigger fish to fry in the world. But for week upon week, we've been getting these arguments that have been put forward by different Christian apologetic teams. And today we've had an interesting argument, which is that I apparently said, according to David Wood, according to Hatun and other people from different organizations, that Allah prays to Prophet Muhammad or for him, whatever it may be. Now, I wanted to know exactly where I used this phraseology so that I can apologize to the masses today. Because if I did say that, that would have been entirely wrong for me to use that terminology, because no translator has translated this verse in chapter number 33 in this way. So I was waiting to apologize to the people, and now, even now, I put it on the record that if I did say this anywhere in the 3 hours and 7 minutes of my debate, anytime anyone brings it forward to me, I will apologize, because it's simply a mistake. Just like the mistake I made with Elijah, because I said Elijah means God is with us and it means my God is Jehovah. That's a fair enough point to make. Now, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I was waiting for the point, so I looked at hour 102 of the debate. Listen, please, it's done. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Thank you. Hatun, we're done. Thank you. Hatun, I'm not interested in this. Okay. Hatun, thank you.
Galatians 5:22 says the Holy Spirit.
Hatun, I'm done. It's finished. It's done. It's over. Good night. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me.
So, as I was saying, don't worry. Everyone else ignore her, please. She's a heckler. She's a heckler. She's become a heckler. Okay, so guys, as I was saying, I was waiting for the part where I was going to say that. Now,
Can you go away? Can you go away?
So,
You don't want to listen to me. Go away.
yes.
Are you sick in the head?
Hatun, is there anything else?
No, she has no.
Alright, let me go. Please.
She has no judgment and self-control. The Holy Spirit, look. The Holy Spirit has it. The Holy Spirit. Don't get married. Leave us alone.
Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, I made it clear.
Do you have the Holy Spirit in your heart too?
Alright, later. To be continued.
Alright, Hijab, that's it. Done. Wrap. It's a wrap. It's closed.
Let's go over there.
She's gonna change it.
She's proper.
Come here, you do it here. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, etc. Gentleness and self-control. She has none. The Holy Spirit is not there.
Don't any. Finish up.
Alright, just make a circle. So anyways, guys, just to finish off, as I was saying, right? So I was waiting for that point. So she said praise, and I thought, where's praise? Praise, as I did say praise, but I was saying praise and blessing. So I thought, is this what she was referring to? And it seems like it was what she was referring to. Praise, P-R-A-I-S-E, meaning to praise someone. Obviously, that's different to praise as in prayer.
If you don't have the English language, it's hard.
It's a difficult thing for those who lack the English language. But what I did say in minute 58 of the debate was Salah for, Salah to. It doesn't say praise there anywhere. It's the Arabic word. Now, what does the word Salah mean? Now, if we go to the Arabic dictionaries, yes, Lisan al-Arab, etc. If we go to the old Arabic dictionary, Mufradat al-Quran and by Isfahani, and check what this word means. It has three meanings according to the old Arabic. And this goes back to the time of the Tabi'in, ladies and gentlemen. It was used like this. The first meaning means to pray. Yes, Salli means dua, in the sense that you supplicate to someone. That's one meaning. The other meaning is, pray here, I'm saying P-R-A-Y, just so anyone, there's no thing. Yes, it could mean that. Now, number two, it could mean to make supplication for. For example, in chapter 9, verse 103 of the Quran, it says, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. Yes, so the Prophet Muhammad is being asked, وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. Here the salli doesn't mean pray for the people. It says that take from their monies, i.e. their sadaqah, the charity, some charity, and then purify them, etc. To purify them, not you, but to purify them. And then do salah alayhim. What does this salah alayhim in this verse mean? It means to supplicate for them, to make dua, say, oh Allah, forgive them and so on. This is what supplication means, yes? Once again, there should be no equivocation here. Don't try and confuse the word supplication with prayer and so on. Number 3, it could mean to send peace and blessings upon someone. Praise, to praise someone. And this again is mentioned in Lisan al-Arab. It's mentioned in one of the oldest and most authoritative dictionaries of the Arabs, and it goes back to the time of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. They would use it in this way, and there's many examples of that which you can find in Lisan al-Arab. Now the point I'm making to you is this. Now how do we know when it means what? That's the question. How do we know if it means this or that? Now in Arabic language, like in any language, I was thinking about this, it's not just in Arabic language, it's in all the languages. If we say something, and we say in one context to one person, it depends upon the relational variables. So for example, if we make supplication, I am making supplication, say, oh God, help me, do this, do that. If I do it in the English language, I'm speaking in imperatives. And imperatives are commands. But am I commanding God to do anything? No. So it's the same thing applies. It depends upon the 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is variables that are involved. What does the word mean? So obviously, anyone who has any self-respect for themselves, for the Quran, reading it, you'll realize that the whole message of the Quran is La ilaha illallah. Yes, it's to only worship God and so on. So anyone who reads that Allah prays, in the same sense that we do for him, for Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or for him or whatever, is really misinformed, even if they're looking at it from an English perspective. And this was not even the argument of the Orientalists. It's so bad an argument that no one would use it. So David Wood problematically used it, and now they're trying to pick up the pieces of his bad arguments. I would say that for the Christian apologetics team and for those individuals who are trying to attack Islam on these basis, instead of spending 6 weeks, yes, 6 weeks, you had 6 weeks since the debate, or 5 weeks, or whatever it was, instead of spending 5 or 6 weeks trying to find out a way out of this, you could have given me names of people, church fathers, for the first 300 years who have said that Jesus and the Holy Spirit are co-equal and co-eternal with God, with the Father God. Why didn't you spend your time doing that? Why didn't you spend your time answering my 4 questions? You could have come together, and you have so many apologetics there. You have so many people that are PhDs and this and that. All of you could have come 6 weeks and actually put something forward, because because before we could have said it was a David Wood thing. David Wood didn't have the answers to the 4 questions. He's a philosopher. He didn't engage once with the philosophical argument. I said, how can you have 3 Almighties? I told him the Quranic argument will crush him that day. And 6 weeks later, it didn't only crush him, it crushed the whole Western apologetics world. No one had any answers, and no one has any answers, and no one will have any answers. And the reason why is because it's a straightforward logical contradiction. You can't have 3 Almighties. You can't have 3 gods with a small g or big G, whether they are persons or not. Now, obviously, they'll come to me and say, we don't believe in 3 gods. I say to them, and this is the point I made, I looked at their works. I looked at the works of William Lane Craig. I've looked at the works of Paul Copan. I looked at the works of the guys that he takes as philosophical authorities. And all of them had the same argument. And I realized this social Totalitarianism, let me put it forward, let me put an argument, and let's see how he reacts to the argument. He is qualified, fully qualified to answer these questions. And to my dismay, all that he could put forward was an attempt to attack me. I mean, 6, and then they make these shows. I can't even watch them. I'm in Turkey, I'm in Ghana, and these countries with alien, and I see every other day that they're putting up a Muhammad Hijab says the man God, and this, come on. I mean, and then they say, oh, God has parts. And that's another thing they say. They say, oh, Muhammad Hijab says there's no scholar that says God has. I don't even know. I don't even watch their videos. But I would like to know from the mainstream who says Allah yatajazza. Allah does not have parts. I stick by that. What I said in the debate, no one in the history, except for the Kirramiyya, some group of the anthropomorphists which were basically excommunicated by by almost every other people. Yes, they said they anthropomorphized Mujassima. They did tajseem of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They anthropomorphized him. Yes, and then they were excommunicated from Islam as a result of such tajseem or such anthropomorphism. But apart from those individuals, I'm talking about who we represent, who are the bulk of the Muslims in creedal form. They're either Ash'ari or Athari or Maturidi. That's the 3. You're not going to get any, you could get something else. You could even bring a Shia group. They didn't say this. Shias didn't say this. We have to be honest. The Shias didn't say that Allah has parts. The Ash'aris didn't say this, the Maturidis didn't say this, the Atharis did not say this. Yes, the Atharis did not say it. No Athari in the face of the earth has said the Allah has parts, literal parts. I would like to know one Athari who has ever said, one Athari, meaning someone who follows the madhab or the manhaj of the Salaf, or the Hanabila, the Hanbalis, someone who follows this creedal form of thought that says Allah yatajazza. I just want to see one person that says Allah yatajazza. Allah has parts. I don't think they exist. I didn't do istiqra', but I'm 100% sure that no one said this from any of the schools, even the ones that we don't accept, like the Shia and the Ithna Ashariyya or the Zaydiyya, Ismailiyya. Any of those individuals, for the sake of argument, will bring them in. Who said that Allah has parts, literal parts? No, give me the names. They do ithbat. Now there's a difference between those, the Hanabila or the Atharis, who do ithbat of the sifa. So they say Allah, say that, for example, we do ithbat of the sifa bila takyif wala ta'til wala tamthil wala tashbih. They say, for example, that Allah has, Allah is loving in the same way, not in the same way as we are loving, and so on. So they do ithbat of the sifa, but they don't do tamthil or tashbih of it. But that's nothing to do with tajzi'. No one says Allah has parts. I stick by this. I want to know, apart from the Kirramiyya, who said this? So the point I'm making to you is, don't waste my time with these arguments. And if this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen, if they actually believe that it's problematic for a God to have parts, why do they believe in Jesus as God?
Yeah, exactly.
He's a human. Simple as that. I mean, you've just shot yourself right in the foot, man. So it's like they know they're wrong. SubhanAllah, they know they're wrong, and they're saying, okay, we're wrong. It's implicit in this kind of argument. We know we're wrong. Okay, let me try and find in your tradition where we can try and force our understanding of religion on your religion.
You have no legs to stand on.
Well, yeah, they have no legs to stand on. So guys, no one in history said that, for example, those Athari creed from the Sahaba. Yeah, from anyone look at the tafsir of al-Tabari. Yes, I will tell you. Look at tafsir of al-Tabari to all of the verses of the Quran. Look at the ahadith, anything, up until Ahmad, up until Ibn Taymiyyah, anyone, no one says Allah yatajazza. I'm sorry, no one says that in the Athari school of thought. And the Ash'aris don't say that, of course, and the Maturidis, of course, and even the Ithna Ashariyya don't say that, and no one says that. Yeah, so don't waste my time. What else? What other things did they say? Elijah. I mean, what the hell, man? In a debate, okay, I made the mistake. I said Elijah, and I confused it with Emmanuel. Is this really the straw that you're clutching on? Is it really it? How does that affect my argument? I want to know how that affects my argument.
It's hurt, man.
No, honestly, if it's to do with me, I'm weak. I can tell you, I'm weak. Yes, I admit I am weak. Yes, I am weak. It's about Muhammad Hijab. Muhammad Hijab is going to go into the grave, and everyone's going to forget about Muhammad Hijab. But no one's going to forget about the argument Muhammad Hijab made. The 700,000 people on my channel and 300 on his channel, and maybe the million in other languages. So far, 2 million people that have watched that debate are not going to remember Muhammad Hijab's performance. They're going to remember Muhammad Hijab's arguments, which are not Muhammad Hijab's arguments. They're the Quran's arguments.
They're going to remember how we got this.
That's all it is, man. And the Quran is what. Do you know why I say it's the Quran's argument? Because this is all the arguments I made are from the Quran. I'll prove it now. I told them the argument of the 300 years. That's the first thing. Someone in the first 300 years. I was implying by that they borrowed from mythological traditions. The Quran says that. It says, يُضَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ إِنَّ يُؤْفَكُونَ. The Quran says that they, i.e. the Christians and the Jews, but in particular here, we're talking about the Christians because it's a topic of our discussion. يُضَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ. They are copying the policies that came before them. So in other words, there was borrowing, yes, borrowing from the ideas of those who came before. The polytheistic, paganistic ideas. That's not my argument, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Quran saying this. That's what the Quran says. Yes, they are copying that. How do we know that? So I looked at the primary source materials and I found, actually, when you look at these things, it looks like there's been because it was the Roman Empire, ladies and gentlemen. It's difficult to break the Roman Empire away from polytheism and mythology. Very difficult. Totally influenced. And that's why if anyone knows anything about Christian history, they'll know in the first 300 years, yeah, or in the first 200 odd years, they were being persecuted, yes? They were being killed in Nero and all they were being killed, the Christians were being killed. Why? Because they had this new revolutionary idea of God, right? And so on. So it's not a faraway speculation to assume, or it's not even a speculation, it's not a faraway thing to say, that actually, especially without evidences, yeah? It's possible that there could have been cultural borrowing here. pre-literary items have been inserted into the text, and there are proof of that. There's proof that pre-literary items have been inserted into the biblical corpus. So if that's the case, the Quran is telling me that. The Quran tells us that the Bible has been altered and changed. So I make the argument. The Quran tells me that the other argument I made about rationality, about how could there be three Almighties? You know, لَعَلَى بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. They would have, if that was the case, they would have tried to outstrip one another. Yeah? Or the universe would not exist. So all of these arguments are not my arguments. They are simply me looking at the Quran and making sense of the Quran and thinking, okay, this is what Allah intended. That's the only reason why he looked like that day. Because it wasn't because of me. I don't want anyone to think it's because of me. I just had anyone could have done the same job as I did, exposing him on this issue. Because simply, it's the Quranic argument, which is the stronger argument, which is why when Islam came into North Africa, people were ready to become Muslim, frankly, yeah? Because they were ready for it, because they were ready for that, not only the fitrah, but they didn't believe in the a lot of them did not believe in the hypostatic union, etc. They believed in a different model. Myophysitism or something like that. They believed in a different, in North Africa.
The hypostasis.
Yeah, they didn't believe in that was a split. Anyways, at a point, so when Islam came, they recognized monotheism and pure simple monotheism, and they accepted it easy. Simple as that. Although, yes, the Berbers took a long time to convert, and there's lots of issues that happened along the way. We're not trying to say, essentially. One more point. The guy was I think he made an argument, and I didn't have time, to be honest with you. We've been traveling. We have not had time to answer him on all these points. But he was saying that I said Islam spread organically. Remember when there was a Christian guy who asked me a question of how Islam being spread by the sword? And I said, look, Christianity has been spread by the sword, yeah? Because he was trying to imply that the Christianity was not spread by the sword or whatever. And so he said to me, look, I am apologetic to the extent where I'm disregarding the conquest of the early days. No. In the same debate, I said we're very proud of the conquest in the early days. People have to realize something. At the time of, we're talking about the Middle Ages, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're talking about the Middle Ages, medieval empire. Now there was no John Locke. Yeah, there was no liberalism. All of that stuff didn't even exist. Yeah. So we're talking about
visas and borders and all this.
No, we didn't have borders, but we didn't have visas, right? Maybe. But what I do want to say is this: is that in such a place, look at the Roman Empire, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, from 55 BC. I don't know when it established itself. Maybe 55 BC or something like that. Yeah. So it's been around for years. Yeah. And what has it been doing? All it's been doing is colonizing and expanding its empire. The Sassanid Empire, which was the other empire at that time, they're not liberal empires. You don't look. I was watching Jordan Peterson. Yes, he said that he's using the same argument. He was saying, Jordan Peterson, yeah, this guy, he's an intellectual. He's saying Islam is a totalizing force. Because why? Because he's talking about the early expansion and invasions. And we're not saying they're not conquest. We are saying they are conquest. Here's my answer to it. Jordan Peterson, David Wood, and all those individuals. Islam was a totalizing force, yes, in a totalizing world. Because it had to be, because everything else is either eat or be eaten. What are you talking about? You're going to say, I want to shake your hand to the Roman Empire, they'll slap you and take you over. I don't know what the controversy is. Here's the big difference. The difference is converting people within your own empire. Yeah. Now here's the point I wanted to make. Islam explicitly forbids the compulsion of people that are not Muslim into Islam. That's my point. If you're not Muslim, you can't be converted into Islam. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen in all of history. It must have happened, yes? But I am saying Islam forbids it. The Christian empire, how did it spread? How did Christianity spread, ladies and gentlemen? It spread because Constantine decided, he had a dream, yes? He had a dream, he saw the cross, all those things, he became Christian. This was around maybe the early 4th century, which means 300s, yeah? And then there were lots of edicts that were put in place, like the Edict of Milan, which was the first 313, which was an edict to allow for peace and tolerance with the Christians, etc. But the point is, in 381, Theodosius II, because of the Theodosian Code, they forced the Nicene version of Christianity on all of the empire. So,
Hijab, can I ask you just one
let me just finish.
It will just be 10 seconds.
I will not heckle.
No,
please, I'll come to you.
I'm just going to ask you a question.
I'll come to you.
Call the Christian police show? That's all I want.
I'll come. Yes, yes.
You're not.
Let me answer.
I'm just going to ask.
Yes. Hold on.
Can we show his face behind him the camera?
I'll answer. No, I'll answer the question. I will answer that. Yes, I will answer. Yes, no problem. There's someone called Christian Boy who has been challenging me. Christian Boy has been challenging me online.
Christian Prince.
No, his name is Christian Boy.
Oh, Christian.
No,
Yeah, Christian
he's a
Boy.
boy.
So Christian Boy has been challenging me. I say no problem. I accept the. No, his name is Christian Boy.
No, he's a boy.
Christian Boy.
He's a
is,
boy.
No, if Christian Boy wants to actually come down
We renamed him.
to